How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today we're going to put this little beast through its paces, the Tayga 6436, see how it stacks up against the others. I still don't know how they're duplicated. I didn't go online, but I don't know. I had one, now I've got two. So anyway, we're going to have a look at the customization options. Obviously the engine, got the biggest, fattest one there is. The middle engine was in Quarry, that bottom one is on Zimnogorsk. It's definitely worth getting, it's pretty powerful with that one. Obviously high range gearbox. Have a quick look at the suspension. See, it doesn't make a world of difference with the height, not like it did with the white Western Star, but obviously it lets you have the bigger tyres. As for the tyres, I'm going to have a quick flick through. Like I say, this is as quick as I can go. One thing I do like that you can see happening is you can have a choice between single or rear tyres, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, it's basically got its own custom set for this truck, which yeah, they look pretty damn cool, to be honest. I already owned them. I think I must have put chained on for maybe that Derry Longhorn test, like getting it out of the hill and that, but yeah, there's chain tyres. Like, they don't look anywhere near as good, and that is important. There's another thing, obviously this is just a little example of the single versus twin tyre. I honestly don't know which is better. There's situations where you could argue for both. These are kind of both rolled into one. They're about the width of twin tyres, but they're single tyres. The winch, I stuck the autonomous one on, or sorry, the advanced medium. I was going to say about selling the stock one, but I only get £1,000. The spare wheel, I'll show you something in a sec, because I think they might have updated something. That's the best snorkel you can get, so it's not going to go quite as deep underwater as some of the others. As for the add-ons on the back, you can get all sorts basically. Now I'm sure when I tested this back in the day, I couldn't get a crane and a saddle, because I remember thinking, oh, that's a bit crap. And somebody said the other day that you couldn't get the crane and the saddle with the spare wheel, and that makes sense because I reckon I had the spare wheel on, whereas now the spare wheel's just bumping the crane back. So I think they've updated it. I think when it came out, the you couldn't do like the spare wheel, the crane and the saddle, but now you can, which is good. Obviously the spare wheel's not the same grip type or whatever, but that's good because it'd be like twice as fat if it was. As for rear bumper, that's just the fenders there in front of the rear tyres. I'm not really bothered about them, but if I could remove the rear ones on trucks, I would like to. I was like, yep, sun visor, I've got money, it's time to blow it again. That's what she said. I didn't bother with like the aircon and that. There's obviously beacons and different parking lights. I had a look at the aircon, but I think it'd get rid of the beacons, so I'm not having that. As for bumpers, look, that's the stock bumper that if I put the bottom of that bar at the bottom of the diff, the difference is quite a lot. That's my personal favourite. They are about the same height, those two, but if you look from the side, that one sticks out forward more, so technically the lattice one I think is best, but whatever you do, just don't keep the stock one on, because when I used the Tayga stock, that was the biggest pain in the arse, was the bumper. That's just horns. Again, I'm not really too fussed about them until they make it like improve the noise. As for exhaust, the stock one just sticks out the bottom. All these custom ones are basically going to be right where you stick your head out the window if you're in cockpit view. It's only got one set of Tayga rims because I've got like the custom tyres on, but they actually look pretty cool rims. I like them. So for the paint jobs, we've got this one. Not if it was brighter blue, I'd like it more. I like that one. Not too keen on that, but it does kind of suit it in a weird way. That's the one I've got on, that's my favourite. If that was more Lambo green than minty green, I'd quite like it. But yeah, like I say, it's I'm going to stick with the orange. So we'll take her out and have a look. Put it to daytime so it's nice and sunny. I definitely think it's a good looking truck. It's got a retro, especially with those tyres, they set it off very nicely. I'm a bit disappointed I didn't put them back on, to be honest. Inside, a little bit more basic, but definitely usually with Russian trucks and stuff it's more function over all looking fancy and that. You can see out the back window pretty nicely, which is nice. Got a little TV screen in the top corner. We'll talk about the horn in a minute, but Russia, you need to speak to your horn department, because USA's horns are the bollocks, but Not many of the Russian ones are. As for, like I say, because I didn't put the exhaust stack on, the view's pretty damn good. Just a quick rever in neutral, nice sensitive rev counter. That's what I like to see. Remember to put her in gear this time. As for setting off, like, pretty much barely rolling, stick it straight in the high. She soon takes off. It's definitely one of the quicker trucks in the game. Trailers, you can basically have everything. Obviously I've put a saddle low on, so it won't let me have like that bottom trailer, but if I had a saddle high it would. Always forget that. I don't know about anyone else, but I always try and pull back off in the high in it. It's never happy. So yeah, speed with this thing is definitely not the problem. I gave it a little try to see here. I left it in auto, and to be fair, it did a bit like the what do you call it, the White Western Star did, where it slowed down a little bit. Obviously tap L1 and it jumped into a more appropriate gear, but along all here you're best off just in high gear. High gear is pretty damn good in this truck. I definitely hit that. I more middled it. I used, with the other trucks I did more come down the right hand side, but again it's just nailing through here. I've took it out a high because that's sort of the nature of the game, but it has absolutely no problem flying through there, and even just here it's already back in the high. Almost caught me out getting around the corner in time, but yeah, as you can see, she's a lively little beast. She definitely doesn't hang around on the dirt roads or anywhere really, or anywhere you'd expect. I like that the spare wheel in the back jiggles around a bit as well. It's another nice little detail. I wasn't gonna, I was like, I've looked at it. What am I thinking? Of course I'm gonna kill a tree. I thought it was worth knowing though. Like, it killed trees and carried on moving. It's always good to know. Amount of fights I get in with trees, I definitely need to know that shit. As for this like soupy, swampy bit, I put it in high, but then I pretty much got back out of it because I was only going to dig myself in. These tyres though, again for mud, are definitely, I think they spread your weight out a lot nicer, so I'm already back in high along here. Even through here you see, like, I just leave it in high. This is one of the few trucks that powers through a hell of a lot of stuff. It's one of the laziest driving styles that still, you get a lot back from it. You don't have to keep putting it in high and auto and low. It just stick it in high and it goes practically everywhere, which is yeah, pretty handy. As for the suspension, it's definitely not bad as well. It's not infallible, but it's it definitely doesn't take a lot of punishment. By the time I got here, I'd already whacked barriers and all sorts, so this little suspension diagram thing at the bottom looks like it's lost quite a bit, but as you can see, it's only losing a point here and there. So it's Black River crossing, which has drove me mad for a long time. I try and avoid it if I can. It's probably one of the few spots on the map I do. A few spots on the game, in fact. But then I don't think I'd ever tried the Tayga through it before, and to be fair, it's pretty damn good. You could auto or low. There's a few bits where auto was quicker. There's a few where low was quicker, or auto, whichever one I just said. It actually got over this tree as well, which was pretty nice. Like I say, that front bumper, that I'll show you a couple of situations where that helps, but it essentially just walked through at least this speed. It never once felt like it was even close to struggling, or like it's just going to start wheel spinning on the spot or struggling or anything. This was a little side thing, I was just exploring near the edge of the map, but going up this hill, not only does it go up the hill, but I put it in high and it races up the hill. So far looking pretty damn good. That was almost the thumbnail. Almost. Right, this is what we've got to do with the horn. I might be driving along and imagine there's a squirrel in that tree and I want to make it shit its pants. That, listen, you can hear a bird laughing at me. That's how bad that horn is. Even in-game birds are laughing. This, you're not just going to make a squirrel shit its pants. You're probably going to detonate it. Like, squirrels over there would shit themselves, and I need that option in the game. In real life, I don't like harming animals. I'm not a vegetarian, but I'd rather know a pig got to run around the field before it made the ultimate sacrifice and became bacon. But yeah, in a game, I like to kill everything, everything that moves. So, coming out of Northport, little quick snow test. I didn't have it in high, but as soon as I put it in high, shallow snow, it absolutely flies across it. The deeper snow, you're better off in auto. And these barriers, I'd say the twin steer was a tiny bit better, but it's getting over them. It didn't ever catch the fuel tanks or anything like that. So yeah, not too shabby. I don't normally do this, but obviously normally I've got the chain tyres on. Now I've finally got some mud tyres back on. Let's go for a little drift. See, it's like, why, tree? We all know how this is going to end. I didn't want to have to, I did. That's a lie. One thing I do like about this as well, because it's diff always on and everything, auto is basically the equivalent of low in a lot of trucks, that you obviously have to put it in low to put the diff on. So even though I've got the high range box, first gear auto is, I would say, easily as fast as high-low with the low-range gearbox. So, yeah, that's a good thing. Again, it's definitely one for the impatient types. This rock, I knew it'd have no problem, but I wanted to get a good old look at how the bumper does when I get off. Which, again, if you had the stock bumper on, it'd catch its nose there, and it'd just be more of a tit trying to get off there, but it did alright there. So, quick cargo run and test. Just as well, with the crane and everything, the cargoes you'll see as I do this turning circle, they're pretty damn close, but they don't quite touch each other. Turning circle's very good, up there with like the ANK and the White Western Star, which again is handy to have when you're out and about. Trying to turn, you get into the wrong situation with the twin steer. That's one of its biggest letdowns, is its turning circle. Still gets motoring along nicely as well with cargo. This is that cut through on Northport where you kind of cut across to go to the fuel station. Absolutely motors through there. This bit, every single truck, like, you have to drop out a high. But again, I have to say, I think this is the best truck that's been through here so far. The White Western Star was possibly second. The twin steer did pretty damn well as well. But because it's got the diff always on, I've tried it in low there, but there's no point. Auto's just a quicker version of low with the same diffs and everything. Turning circle's pretty damn good as well, so yeah, getting around that corner's fine. So if I had £6 grand for every trailer I'd dumped mid-video, probably be able to buy another truck. We'll worry about that one later. So quick first water test, shallow water. I have to say, can you notice there, it's like, it does slow down a tiny bit each time. I'm only mentioning it to be fair. It never feels like it's going to struggle for power like the White Western Star, but it did slow down a couple of times, like just a little bit. But yeah, for comparison's sake, it definitely did similar. But the White Western Star, I think, will run out of power a hell of a lot sooner than this thing. Even here, I've not done this with any other trucks, but I can leave it in high. I'm practically still now. Most trucks would stall now. Whereas this is what I mean about, like, you can be pretty lazy with it. Like, if I was I'm not paying attention or trying to sip my coffee, it's just going to sit there wheel spinning in a high, but it's not then going to say stalling and mess around like that. And once I'm back on like the road that's got tracks in it, stick it in a high and it's dangerous levels of fun, which is a good thing. I want to go fast enough that there's some risk involved. I don't just want to crawl along so slowly that I know I'm never going to roll it. So I forgot to get the interior gameplay, so I just had to pause this video and go back on. Yeah, quick look at the interior while we're driving. Again, no smokestack, so view out the back's very good. I do love them tyres. As for the view, like, it does dip down a bit in the bottom left, but the White Western Star is definitely better. And that hump in the bonnet as well is just where like the horizon often is. And lastly, is it just me, or is the camera, does the camera feel zoomed in like 6 inches to a foot too much? It's the first truck where interior view I tried to pull the camera back out sort of thing. Tried to move my head back, but yeah, it just feels a little bit pressed up against the windscreen. But as you can see, that hump in the bonnet, I know my way pretty well along here. I didn't catch my nose there, by the way, and every other truck has so far. But yeah, it's not the end of the world, but it definitely, I won't leave all of this in, really, with I tried the interior view on this rock bridge, and as you can see, like, that hump in the bonnet's blocking a lot of the rocks where it's like, I'd like to see that last little bit so I can just line my truck up a bit better. Obviously in third person view it probably wouldn't be an issue, but I just thought I'd mention it because I noticed it. I have to say as well, I kept jumping in and out of interior view, but it did very well to claw itself back up off the edge there, and then it was more my fault here. I kept it turned too far right and she went. So this is that normally where they all catch their chin. This is just when I forgot to do the interior gameplay, so it didn't catch it 2 times out of 2, so it's definitely pretty good for that. As for here as well, I'm still in high. It basically gets through the whole lot except about here, where I didn't drop it out of high, but now the boggy mud and that sort of caught up with it a bit and slowed it down. Those tyres are actually very good for just bouncing off a lot of stuff. I think I've taken less damage hitting things because they are quite big spongy tyres. I did clip the nose there, however it didn't drop out high, so it definitely doesn't punish you for doing stuff like that. A quick panic horn as I'm trying to flicker right. See, water, I'd say water's its biggest weakness, but in all honesty it's not much of a weakness, not as much as some trucks have. Didn't even catch its nose there. The snow it ploughs through just fine. These trees don't slow it down or anything, and as I'm going along here, to be honest, it has bursts of speed, and it's like the snow constantly goes from deep snow to shallow, so every now and then you get a quick burst of speed and then it goes back to crawling along again. So we'll try this mud test. To be honest, this thing is pretty bloody brilliant in mud. I knew it before I even got here. That's why a lot of the videos I've more entered from the left, because I just know doing this would be pointless really, and I'll only end up editing it out for time's sake, whereas this, I knew I could basically drive down the middle, and I wanted to see with the bumper how well it'd do. Normally by now a lot of trucks would be scraping the front bumper along, which means you go slower. Eventually I found a bit where the bumper actually starts scraping, and it's slowed down a tiny bit, but really not a lot at all. You can see there, like, that's the most no shits to give line I've taken through here so far, and it drove itself out no problem. So next is the old mountain test. Funny enough, I tried to put it in high there, and it's pretty rare you see it say stalling, but I did manage it, got it there. Put it in high again though, and it was flying up here a bit too well. I actually got to about now and thought I best take it back out high before I roll it. It's a bit unfair if I do, because the other trucks, I didn't gun it up here in high. As for beaching, it's definitely not as good as the White Western Star for clawing itself back off, but it isn't bad. The White Western Star was probably like a 9 out of 10. That was ridiculously good. This is probably like a 7-ish. But yeah, it's so good up here. It's almost too good. I'm letting off the accelerator quite a lot because I didn't want to go too fast. So I'm going to try this rolling test on this bit. This is where basically all of them have rolled. Like, it's not bad. Those wheels as well, I have to say, I think they add more weight to it than like the chain tyres. So it kind of, and they sit a bit wider. And when I rolled at this point, I rolled a bit early, so I ended up approaching the mountain from the other side. And this, again, I wouldn't attempt this really with any or most of the trucks, because I know it'd just be a waste of time and I'd end up editing it out because it'd just be slow and pointless. But basically my base in Northport is like right behind me now. I've just gone out to sort of the side of the base. And well, yeah, look at it, it's like ridiculously good on off-road, steep hills, all sorts. That's not the truck's fault. I think that's me tapping L1. Like, I do it now, I think. Just as it rolls back, I tap L1, and it just so happens to jump into reverse. But if I didn't tap L1, it wouldn't have done that. I did it twice as well. That was just unlucky, really, but... yeah, look at it, it's got no problem. And I certainly wouldn't recommend dragging a 5th wheel trailer up here, but I think it would pull cargo more reliably than the White Western Star, for example. See, especially with these wheels, it's definitely got a lot of its weight at the bottom, and because they do stick out a bit wider, it's not much, but it makes just that little difference that it's really not very top heavy at all. See, like, I can reverse off this just fine, and I did, but it does beach itself a little bit. Finely rolled again, but if you look, I can steer into it, and it's very good at landing back on those tyres, and then, well, yeah, she's just going along fine. So yeah, it's definitely a beast. That Russian national anthem as well. It's so good it makes me proud to be Russian, and I'm not even Russian. But yeah, this thing can definitely go anywhere, and that's not even got chain tyres on at the minute. One thing you do, I just want to point out, it can drift to the side, then dig in and flip. And particularly with these tyres, it sits beyond the horizontal, so your winch ain't going to help you out if you're on flat ground. Obviously, if you tip on a hill, you might have some luck. So as a speed test, it's definitely pretty rapid. It's up there as one of the fastest vehicles. This, the twin steer and the ANK, just kept flying over the truck darts. Try that again. She definitely bounces pretty well, doesn't stick in like the Derry or anything. She's always jumping around. And then once I landed here, I was actually pretty proud of this. I was going to try and knock it over with a Royal. I couldn't have timed this and got that better if I was able to steer mid-air. Sadly though, I knocked it over, but she was having none of it. Them wheels have definitely got some weight to them, and yeah, if she's not landing straight, she's not. She's definitely a good little drift truck. So, we'll try again. Again, pretty damn bouncy. Land in that trailer again. But no. Try again. Alright, now I thought about bloody time. It's like, oh my god, who the fuck parked a twin steer there? So, nope. Just my luck. This one looks good. Oh yes. Face plant the trailer. She flew nice and true, and as for, I landed a little bit deeper than the snorkel was happy with, but not by much, and this is definitely one she said, but it pulls out a lot better than it goes in. And you'll see why in a second, but reversing out of there, out of deep water, it definitely had no problem, but I think these tyres could be something to do with it. But even as we get to like as deep as the bonnet, it's definitely still ploughing through the water, no problem. I cut a bit here because I forgot I was making this video and I started driving out, but soon remembered and sent her straight back in. Like I say, the snorkel doesn't go quite as high as the roof, so this is not going to be quite as good as some trucks. So that's about the limit. And yeah, every now and then it took one, I'd reverse it a tiny bit, but this is essentially, for practical use, it's pretty good. Obviously swimming around in here, there is better trucks, but you don't need to do that. So I started seeing how quick it'd drown. And basically, as you can see now, I'm hardly moving. And this is another reason why it's not that good in water. Or it's not bad, but this deep, now the whole rear wheels are floating, which, like I say, might be to do with the fact that they're pretty massive wheels. I don't specifically remember in all the times I've dived in here with the Tayga, but I had chain tyres on. I don't really remember this happening. But anyway, yeah, I kept going until it died. I don't think, for example, it'd be able to make it to that island over there. I think it'd take too much damage and be too slow, whereas the ANK, I took damage getting there, but it was quick enough to get back out the other side before the engine was dead. So, like I say, it's definitely a good little drift truck. Hours of fun, and I've only just got these mud tyres back on it, so it doesn't drift. I've tried with the chain tyres, it doesn't really drift that well. Even here, drop it in high and goes for a nice little 180. Probably could have got the 360. I let off because I didn't want to smash into the sort of landing lights at the edge of the runway. But yeah, as you can see, hours of fun. Oh crap, this one's going to hurt. But it yeets itself off the cliff. And like I said, it's a bouncy little sod. So, smashed it up pretty bad. However, slammed Tayga. It looks the bollocks on its dick, which is English for it looks pretty damn good when it's lowered. So yeah, there they are together. I know which one I'm choosing. The lowered one definitely looks a lot cooler, I think. They both look pretty nice though. It's definitely a pretty cool retro looking truck, especially with these tyres. So yeah, that's about it for the gameplay and review. In conclusion, I would definitely get it. Like, I don't think you need to rush and get it. You can still crack on with Black River and whatnot, but I definitely think sooner rather than later it's worth getting. I didn't go to Drowned Lands for ages, but yeah, there's a hell of a lot of situations where this thing will just beat a lot of the game. It's not even my favourite truck, but objectively it's just ridiculously good. So anyway, that's about it for today. I hope you've enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon. Hang on, I'm not having this again. 1-800 Truck Bros. That's what we need. Trees know not to mess with the twin steer. Look at this cheeky tree. Pops back up like it was nothing. Thought, right, I'll have to kill it again. And as is my crazy imagination on this game, 5 seconds ago I wanted to kill it. Now, it's one of the boys. It's passed the test. It's a tree bro. We're cool. And just like that, I have no problems with that tree anymore. This one though, still not happy with it. Still going for them big fishes. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed.